What is this podcast? I like it. I'll have another. Welcome into the Bro 4 Squad podcast. We are here to do a throwback review of the 2011 MCU film Thor in preparation of the newly released, or about to be released, Thor Ragnarok. I am your host, Jeff Hornacek. Let's go around and meet the bros. First off, our very own Fandral, because he knows his way around a sword. Don't ask his wife why she has that eye patch. It's totally unrelated. Matt Geiger. Matt, what's going on?
Before Thor 2, there was Thor 1. Before that, there was nothing. That's my best Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not. There was a lot before Thor 1, like a lot of movies. But, all right. Now on to our very own Lady Sif, the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Banner, what's going on?
I think you're calling me Lady Sif because I'm clearly the hottest person on this pod.
Okay. Way to spin that. That's a good spin zone right there. Turn that into a positive. Guys, if you have not checked out any of our reviews before, we grade every movie on 5 criteria: cast, story, best scene, lasting impact, and its rewatchability. So let's just dive right into it. And the cast, Matt Geiger, what did you think going back and revisiting the original Thor and how the cast and acting was portrayed?
This cast is great. A la Batman Begins, it's really deep. I'm going to pick one person who I think's the best actor in this. You know, Anthony Hopkins has definitely showed his chops throughout and through, but Tom Middleton, man, he hasn't been in much besides Thor. I know he's been in a couple things, but I'm surprised he's not setting Hollywood on fire. I know that he was rumored to be the next Crow, which I'd love to see. He was rumored to be in that Hank Williams movie that really never caught on, but he is a great actor, and he is great in this, and every scene he has with Hemsworth, the better actor, and he goes toe-to-toe with Hopkins, too. So I'm going to pick him.
Totally agree. Banner, what do you think?
I'm going to go opposite end of the spectrum. Somebody who we know has great talent. It's low-hanging fruit here, guys. We all know what I'm going to say. Natalie Portman. This isn't quite as bad as Star Wars, and definitely not as bad as Thor 2, but we know she's better than that, and I expect better out of her.
Yeah.
Very disappointed in her performance.
For me,
Jeff, how pissed are you that I took Middleton?
Yeah, I'm really pissed. We'll talk about it off pod. It's like when you're like hanging out with your friends and you ask your mom, "Are you mad at me?" She's like, "We'll talk when we get home." And you're like, "Fuck, that's not good." For me, let's talk about the depth, like you said, Geiger. Idris Elba in this doesn't have a lot to do as Heimdall, but when he needs to be a badass in this film, he is, and he's awesome. And I'm so glad he's in the MCU. Another thing I remembered from revisiting this, I really miss Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, man. I know he's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I do watch that show, but in the MCU movies, he was just an awesome kind of connective tissue and stabilizing force in these films, and he was literally the everyman. He would be like how we would react in these situations. And then I gotta go with one negative here. Kat Dennings as Darcy. Oh my god, dude, so annoying. I can't stand the show Two Broke Girls, and every time she was on screen, I think I audibly went, ugh. So, whatever she was going for with the humor, like, I'm quirky and I make light of situations regardless of what's happening, it did not resonate with me at all.
I'm shocked that you didn't say something about Stellan Skarsgård being 80 years old still.
When he gets drunk with Thor in this, it's been 2 Boilermakers.
Why is there an O over the A in his name? Is he like German or something?
Do you even German, bro? I think he's Swedish? I don't know. Not American, since we're very ignorant. Our second category is the story and the plot. Banner, what do you think?
I really like the story. I think they do a good job of getting Thor to Earth quickly and making us understand what situation he's in. At the same time, showing how Loki uses his power and his magic to manipulate people and start to really develop as a villain. I think that's one thing that the MCU is notoriously bad at, is developing villains. And they kind of did that here, moving into subsequent movies. But I thought they did a good job of getting us the stakes and letting us know why they're there and what's going on relatively quickly, so that they get to the fighting and eventually connecting all this to the Avengers movie.
Geiger.
Yeah, I like the story how you get to see his powers used. Basically, he just kind of shows them off, and then he loses them coming to Earth, which is cool. I think a cooler story would be if Kat Dennings lost her tits, if she could ever get cast in Hollywood again, since those are her powers. But Thor kind of overcomes that, and Yeah, it's a cool story. It's a great origin story. I really like this movie. Now, if you ask me, is it a good movie? I would probably say no, but I really enjoy it. I love the first Thor. It is a great movie.
Yeah, to Banner's point, I think it does a good job of getting him to Earth quickly, having it make sense. The reason that I like this story so much is it goes by quickly, but it's driven by two relationships. It's not about like the Flash and the CGI and the great action scenes. It's Thor and Loki's relationship, and really Odin's relationship to his two kids. And everyone's motivation makes sense. And Banner, to your point, the MCU, I love them, but they suck at developing villains. I think Loki and the Vulture are the only two that they've done right. And the reason this works is because, number one, Tom Hiddleston can fucking act his ass off. And number two, everything his character does, you feel for him in this movie. You actually feel bad for Loki a lot. You're like, damn, dude, that sucks. So that's why the story worked. And Kenneth Branagh, it's not easy to say, hey, we need half of this to be in some mystical world, and then the other half needs to be in a small town in New Mexico. Okay, you got it? It's not an easy thing to do, and he pulled it off. Best scene, Geiger, what do you got?
Mine's pretty simple. When Thor loses powers and comes to Earth, and S.H.I.E.L.D. has his hammer, and they build that basic... Yeah, I know, Banner's going to pout about this.
Like a campground?
But for two reasons. One, Thor gets to beat the shit out of people without using his powers, and two, it's the first time we get Hawkeye in the MCU, which Renner's probably my favorite. If you could pick one MCU person, it's probably Renner for me. That scene was awesome, and it was raining too, which, as Point Break stated, if you want a cool scene, make sure it rains.
Yeah, everyone knows that. It's not, news. Banner, I'll go next so you can maybe think of a backup best scene, because that one was fucking awesome.
I've got one. We have show notes for a reason, Geiger.
We didn't have show notes for this.
We didn't have show notes for this.
It doesn't matter. You didn't look at them anyway.
That's true. I'll still go first because I want to go before you, and I'm hosting, so I can do whatever the hell I want. My favorite scene is with Loki and Odin in Odin's vault, when Loki realizes that he's a frost giant. And he basically knows something's wrong with him. He says, "Am I cursed?" And he goes, "No." That scene... I think it's the best acted scene in any MCU movie, and I would be interested if you guys are out there and have a better one, tweet it at us at Bro4 Squad, but that's where Tom Hiddleston shows you he can go toe-to-toe with one of the great actors of our generation, and you really feel for him, man. He is broken. He is destroyed inside when he finds out that his whole life was a lie, and it hits you, man. That was my favorite scene of the movie, and it helps drive everything beyond that and lead all the motivations. Banner, what's your best scene?
Well, this is going to be my second best scene, but I'll say whenever he goes to the Frost Giants, Thor and the Warriors 3 and Civ and all them, and he just starts wrecking people at the very beginning, basically showing how big of a dick he has, which ultimately ends up getting his hammer taken away. Visually and with the CGI and everything, I thought it was very good. It still holds up. When he throws his entire body with the hammer through that, like, giant dog monster thing, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So just a good classic action set piece that we like to see in the MCU.
Impact on pop culture. I'll go here real quick. It introduced the cosmic realm to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was big. But I think more importantly than that, because that, other movies have done it better since, like Guardians. The thing that it did for me was it introduced Americans to Tom Hiddleston. He was in a show called Wallander in Britain, which no one saw because it was in Britain and kind of obscure. It was a good show, I heard, but this showed us Tom Hiddleston. He's gotten a couple big roles, like Geiger said. He has kind of plateaued at a high point in Hollywood, but I still think there's a lot more there for him to do. He's a great actor, and this was the first glimpse we got of him. Geiger, what do you got?
It couldn't be bigger for me. I think these movies get taken for granted a lot. Not necessarily the first Iron Man, but even the first Avenger, Captain America, which I didn't particularly like, Thor, the Hulk. Basically, MCU is giving you a blueprint on how to make an Avengers movie that's fantastic and fans like. Warner Brothers didn't take this into consideration at all because BVS, a lot of people felt, was jumbled. I personally didn't, but I can see why people felt that way because we didn't have any characters developed before we did this movie. Basically just one, which is Superman. Marvel took the time to develop every single character, give them their own movie, own origin story, and even though these movies, whenever you look at everything done, they're probably not even going to be in the top 10 except for maybe the first Iron Man. It needs to be done for character development to make Avengers so well. So they gave you the blueprint. No one's following it because most people in Hollywood are idiots, but they gave you the blueprint on how to make a fantastic superhero franchise.
Well said. Banner.
Yeah, this movie really falls into a gray area. because I'm gonna go in the middle of you guys. Like, on one case, it's the movie isn't big enough to go, oh my gosh, we always think back to this like an Iron Man or an Avengers or a lot of the movies that are in Phase 2, but it's a very important stepping stone, and it builds the foundation for what the MCU is built on. Without this, we wouldn't have the Avengers. We wouldn't feel for the Avengers and all these other subsequent movies without it. It really helps to build the foundation. And again, it's not – sometimes I feel like this movie and the original Captain America, which I'm like you, Geiger, I don't particularly like it, but they build a solid foundation so that we can have better movies moving forward. So that's my impact. And going back to what you said on Hiddleston, I think he's going to be the anchor along with Brie Larson in that in the Kong Godzilla franchise that they're making. So I'm interested to see where that catapults him coming off of this.
Jeff, can I say one thing? These origin stories are like drafting an O-lineman in the first round. It's not sexy. It's not fun. Your fan base won't get behind it, but you got to do it to not get your quarterback fucking killed in preseason.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
On to rewatchability, and because of that analogy, you get to go first for rewatchability, Geiger.
I'll watch this whenever it's on TV. It's way better than Thor 2. Actually, this is probably my second favorite MCU origin film. Spider-Man doesn't count. Iron Man is still my favorite. But I love watching this movie. I'll watch it 2 or 3 times a year.
Banner.
You like it better than Guardians?
Yeah, it does count as an origin, doesn't it?
Well, now it just got bumped to third best.
Okay. Well,
Banner, what do you think?
So basically everything I said was just a fucking lie. To you, Banner?
Yeah, I think of the 2 Thor movies, this one is 1,000% better than the second one, which isn't hard to do. I mean, I could stare at a brick wall and it's still better than the second one. But again, like you said, every time it's on FX, I'm going to stop. I'm going to watch 30, 45 minutes of it. And I'll pop it in once or twice a year, but we all know I'm good and I'm a sick person. I watch the entire MCU front to back at least twice a year. And I have no excuse for that.
So this is accurate. This movie, and I know we say this about every film, and it's mathematically impossible because there's only 24 hours in a day. This movie is legit on FX a lot. Like, I think once a week I see this on FX. And I do watch it for a little bit. It's not my favorite movie with Thor. It's not my favorite movie with Loki. But it's a solid movie, and there's great performances in it. So, yeah, I watched it a little bit. I actually own it on DVD, but unlike you, I can't remember last time I physically put in the DVD because this isn't Little House on the Prairie, where there's more modern ways for me to consume my content. And with that, we will leave Asgard and head to the Bifrost. For the Bro 4 squad, Matt Geiger and Brian Banner, I'm Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys for checking us out. Head on over to our website, bro4squad.com, for all of our content. Check us out on Facebook, Bro4 Squad Podcast. That's 4 words. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube so you don't miss anything we're putting out, Bro4 Squad. And as always, follow us on Twitter, @Bro4 Squad. Thank you guys, and we will catch you next time. 2 Boilermakers.